Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Live Storytime. My name is Miss Mary, and I am so happy to be with you today. I have some great stories to share with you. I have a pretty huge milestone to share with you as well. So please, as soon as you come in, say hello in the chat, and I will be sure to give you a shout out. I'm just going to wait a little bit for people to tune in. I am really so excited about the books I'm reading today. I can't wait to share them with you. Welcome. If you have arrived, please say hello in the comments and I will be sure to give you a shout out. A couple of shout out reminders. Apologies if you've heard this multiple times, but with shout outs, sometimes there is a delay with the comments, so I might not see your comment right away. It doesn't mean I'm ignoring you at all. So if I don't say anything, it's just because I haven't seen your comment yet. But as soon as I do, I will be sure to give you a good shout out. Also, if I'm in the middle of a book, I wait until the end of the book before I answer a question or do a shout out. So that's that. Okay. Hi, Laura. Hi, Sadie and Callie. Oh, I love you too, Sadie. Mwah. What's my favorite color? You're looking at it. My favorite color is pink. I love all kinds of pink, but like that pale ballet pink is like my favorite. So that's my favorite color. So I wanted to announce something very special today. Technically, my anniversary is March 27th for live story times. So it could have been this week or next week. I decided to celebrate it this week. So this week we are celebrating 1 year of weekly live story times with Miss Mary, with very few exceptions of weeks where I didn't have a story time. So I am just completely amazed by the power of this and the joy that it has brought me. And I, at the end of the story time, will have a little something. So, I have some comments. Callie wants to know if I like goldfish. I like the pretzel goldfish, Callie. I can't eat the cheddar ones because I'm vegan and I don't eat cheese or anything like that. And I also actually make homemade goldfish, which are really tasty and a little bit of a lesson in patience. Callie wants to know if I like soup. Yes, this is a repeat question, but I like consistency, Callie, so that's okay. I love soup. I actually made it over the weekend, so even though it's not soup season really anymore, I don't care. I love soup. Samantha is here. Hi, Donna. Hi, Samantha. Welcome. Sadie's favorite color is blue, and so is Callie's. Blue is a great choice. Great choice. My second favorite is green. Okay, so for this very special 1 year anniversary of live story times, I can't get over it. I am celebrating Women's History Month with some amazing, strong girl characters. I really loved. There were so many books this week that I'm probably going to have to do part 2 next week. There were just too many good ones. So let's start off with Grace for President by Kelly Dipuccio. I loved this one, and I thought this was a very empowering way to start. So here we go. A reminder, as always, if you have a question or a comment, definitely type it in, but I'm not going to answer it until I'm done with my story. So here we go. Okay. One Monday morning in September, Mrs. Barrington rolled out a big poster with all of the president's pictures on it. Grace Campbell could not believe her eyes. Where are the girls? That is a very good question, said Mrs. Barrington. The truth is our country has never had a woman president. No girl president? Ever? Grace asked. No, I'm afraid not, said Mrs. Barrington. Grace sat at her desk and stewed. No girls? Who had ever thought of such a crazy thing? Finally, she raised her hand. Yes, Grace? I've been thinking it over, and I'd like to be president. Several students in the class laughed. Well, I think that's a star-spangled idea, Grace, said Mrs. Barrington. In fact, we could have our own election right here at Woodrow Wilson Elementary. The snickering in the room stopped. Grace smiled. Would anyone else like to run for president? Mrs. Barrington asked the class, but nobody raised their hand. Becoming president was going to be easy, Grace thought. The next day, Mrs. Barrington made an announcement. In the name of democracy, I have invited Mr. Waller's class to join our election. Their class has nominated Thomas Cobb to be their presidential candidate. Grace's heart sank. Thomas was the school's spelling bee champion. His experiments always took a blue ribbon at the science fair. And he was captain of the soccer team. Whew, becoming president wasn't going to be so easy after all, Grace thought. The teachers put the names of all 50 states and the District of Columbia into a hat. Everyone except for Grace and Thomas got to choose a state. I'm Texas, said Anthony. I'm New Hampshire, said Rose. I'm Michigan, said Robbie. But what does the number 17 mean? Each state is assigned a number of electoral votes. That number is determined by how many people live in that state, said Mrs. Barrington. Each of you will be a representative for your state. Altogether, our country has 538 electoral votes, Mr. Waller explained. On election day, the candidate who receives 270 electoral votes or more wins the election. Why 270? Asked Rose. That's more than half of all the electoral votes, Mr. Waller said. Whew. Becoming president really wasn't going to be so easy, Grace thought. Maybe not, but let's see if she has it. Grace came up with a campaign slogan. Make history. Vote Grace Campbell for president. Thomas came up with his own campaign slogan. Vote for Thomas Cobb, the best man for the job. Grace listened to what issues were important to the students, and she made a list of campaign promises. Here we are. A peaceful school, no bullies, a cleaner school, no littering, better hot lunches, no more fish stick tacos. Thomas made up his own list of promises. Free tutoring, free soccer lessons, fish stick tacos every week. Grace made campaign posters and buttons. Thomas made posters and buttons too. Oh, wow, look at all those posters. Each week, the teacher set aside time for the candidates to meet with their constituents. That means the other students in this case. Polls were taken. Voters were making their choices. Grace continued to campaign. At recess, she gave speeches. During lunch, she handed out free cupcakes. After school, she held rallies. Meanwhile, Thomas wasn't worried. He had cleverly calculated that the boys held slightly more electoral votes than the girls. At recess, Thomas studied his spelling words. During lunch, he worked on his latest science experiment. After school, he played soccer. So he didn't really do any campaigning like Grace did, right? Even before the election, Grace made good on her promises. She joined the safety squad, she organized a school beautification committee, and she volunteered her time in the school cafeteria. In early November, Woodrow Wilson Elementary hosted a special Election Day assembly. Grace and Thomas took their places on stage as the school band began to play. Henry was the first representative to approach the microphone. The Yellowhammer State of Alabama casts its 9 electoral votes for Thomas Cobbs, Fletcher said. The last frontier state of Alaska casts its 3 electoral votes for the best man for the job, Thomas Cobb. The Grand Canyon state of Arizona casts its 10 electoral votes for Grace Campbell, Hannah called out, and so it went. State after state after state cast their electoral votes. The scoreboard in the gymnasium kept track of the totals. The voting demonstration was quickly coming to an end. Clara approached the podium. The Badger State of Wisconsin casts its 10 votes for my best friend, Grace Campbell. Grace looked at the scoreboard. Thomas had 268 electoral votes and she had 267. There was only one state still unaccounted for. It's tight. This is a tight race. It's Wyoming over here. Thomas grinned. Grace felt sick. Sam walked up to the microphone. He looked at Thomas. He looked at Grace. He looked down at Grace's handmade flag. Sam didn't say a word. Well, what are you waiting for? Thomas whispered. The band stopped playing. All eyes were on Wyoming. Finally, Sam cleared his throat. The equality state of Wyoming casts its 3 electoral votes for Grace Campbell. She's shocked. The gymnasium erupted in loud cheers and a few boos. Mrs. Barrington approached the podium. With 270 electoral votes, the winner is Grace Campbell. Thomas looked stunned. Grace hugged Sam. Why did you do it? She asked. Sam handed Grace his flag. Because, he said, I thought you were the best person for the job. The following week, the students in Miss Barrington's class were preparing for their career day presentations. Grace volunteered to go first. She stood at the front of the room and glanced at the poster still hanging on the wall. My name is Grace Campbell, and when I grow up, I'm going to be President of the United States. This time, everyone believed that she would. And I thought this book was so great because this year we became that one step closer to a woman being president. We have our first female vice president with Kamala Harris. And so Grace is right that anything is possible and she can be president of the United States someday if she works hard enough. So I loved that story. Sadie says, you are the best Miss Mary, no comma. She means, of all of the Miss Marys, I'm the best one. Okay, I'm the only Miss Mary I know, so I still take that as a very high praise, Sadie. So thank you for that. I'm the only Miss Mary that I currently know right now. So if you know another one, I'm certainly glad to be the best of the bunch. But this is sweet, Sadie. Okay, my next story is based on a real life person. She's a big inspiration to me and to a lot of people in this world. So this is a story about Jane Goodall, who you'll learn a lot about in this book. She is a wildlife conservationist and she loves working with chimpanzees. So this story is called Me, Jane by Patrick McDonnell. And actually this cover page right here, that is a picture of Jane Goodall as a very young girl. Here we go. Jane had a stuffed toy chimpanzee named Jubilee. She cherished Jubilee and took him everywhere she went, and Jane loved to be outside. She watched birds making their nests, spiders spinning their webs, and squirrels chasing one another up and down the trees. Jane learned all that she could about the animals and plants she studied in her backyard and read about in books. Okay, look at all those notes she's taken. One day, curious Jane wondered where eggs came from. So she and Jubilee snuck into Grandma Nut's chicken coop, hid behind some straw, stayed very still, and observed the miracle. It was a magical world full of joy and wonder, and Jane felt very much a part of it. Jane often climbed her favorite tree, which she named Beech. She would lay her cheek against its trunk and seem to feel the sap flowing beneath its bark. Jane could feel her own heart beating, beating, beating. With the wind in her hair, she read and reread the books about Tarzan of the Apes, in which another girl, also named Jane, lived in the jungles of Africa. Jane dreamed of a life in Africa too. A life living with and helping all animals. At night, Jane would tuck Jubilee into bed, say her prayers, and fall asleep. To awake one day to her dream come true. And that last photo is the real life Jane Goodall with a little baby chimp. I just think she is such an inspirational woman. From a very young girl, she absolutely loved nature and animals and wanted to learn as much as possible about them, and I just think that's incredible. She is such a role model for the planet. Okay. You know another Miss Mary. Okay, so Sadie, I am honored that I am your favorite Miss Mary. No disrespect to the other Miss Mary. Okay, and wants to know if I've ever been to Florida. Yes, but not in a very long time, Sadie. Not in a very, very long time. Okay, my next story today is called Drum Dream Girl. And this is about a little girl who wants to learn how to play the drums. But she runs into some problems. On an island of music in a city of drum beats, the drum dream girl dreamed of pounding tall conga drums, tapping small bongo drums, and boom, boom, booming with long, loud sticks on big, round, silvery, moon-bright timbales. But everyone on the island of music in the city of drum beats believed that only boys should play drums. Fun fact, Miss Mary always wanted to learn how to play the drums. That's my favorite part of a band. So the drum dream girl had to keep dreaming quiet, secret drum beat dreams. I just love the colors of these illustrations. At outdoor cafes that looked like gardens, she heard drums played by men, but when she closed her eyes, she could also hear her own imaginary music. At carnivals, she listened to the rattling beat of towering dancers on stilts. And the dragon clang of costumed drummers wearing huge masks. At home, her fingertips rolled out their own dreamy drum rhythm on tables and chairs. And even though everyone kept reminding her that girls on the island of music had never played the drums, the brave drum dream girl dared to play tall conga drums, small bongo drums, and big, round, silvery, moon-bright timbales. Her hands seemed to fly as they rippled, rapped, and pounded all the ribbons of her drum dreams. Her big sisters were so excited that they invited her to join their new all-girl dance band. But their father said only boys should play drums. So the drum dream girl had to keep dreaming and drumming alone. Until finally, one day, her father offered to find a music teacher who could decide if her drums deserved to be heard. The drum dream girl's teacher was amazed. The girl knew so much, but he taught her more and more and more. And she practiced and she practiced and she practiced. Until the teacher agreed that she was ready to play her small bongo drums outdoors at a starlit cafe that looked like a garden, where everyone who heard her dream bright music sang and danced and decided that girls should always be allowed to play drums, and both girls and boys should feel free to dream. Yes, always feel free to dream. No dream too big, right? I love that story. And the illustrations and colors of those illustrations, absolutely beautiful. Okay, Sadie says, thank you for being Miss Mary. Oh, Sadie, my heart. Thank you, sweetheart. I am glad that I can be Miss Mary for you. And as always, if there is someone else here who wants to say hello in the chat, don't hesitate. I have time, I think, for one more book today. So this is actually the first book that I touched this week, which is usually the one I leave for last. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. It's a new book from our new shelves, and it really spoke to me. And then I decided that I really wanted to do, of course, female girl power stories today, and I'm going to continue them next week because there were just too many to choose from. And I actually didn't get to everything today, but I really wanted to share this story. This is called What Will These Hands Make by Nikki Mcclure. Absolutely beautiful. I showed this to one of my coworkers too, and she loved it too. What will these hands make? A very young child over here. What will these hands make? A teacup for a child? A bowl round and shiny? A quilt to warm? A chair for listening? What will these hands make? Will these hands make a hat for a baby's head? A wall to walk along? A gate to open? A garden for many? Will these hands make a bicycle to ride? A sidewalk safe? A haven for others? A bench to rest a while? Will these hands make a bridge to cross a river? A boat to sail the sea? a house for swallows, a home for families. Will these hands make a sign to point the way, a bouquet to celebrate, a gift to give, a basket for everything? Will these hands make a raven from a tree, a cabinet for treasure, a painting bright, a flag to wave hello? Will these hands make a knife to cut carrots, a cake 6 layers high, a spoon to stir, a song for a parade? Will these hands make a pillow for grandma, a pair of slippers for her feet, a candle to light, a bread to pull apart? Will these hands make a box to hold memories, a bear to sit beside, a book to share, a blanket woven tight? Will these hands make a fiddle to play quick, a stack of wood for the night, a play to cheer, a lantern to guide the way back home? Will these hands make a safe place to be? Will these hands make a community? What will your hands make? And if you get this book, you can trace your own hand on each page. So I just loved this story because I think it's inspiring and a reminder that you can do anything. Your hands can make anything. You can do anything with your life. So I just loved that story. Okay, so Sadie wants to know if I can come to your house. Sadie, you ask this so frequently, and as soon as the big sick is over, we'll talk. Okay? So I have possibly one more story. That was going to be my last one. You know what? We'll save it for next week. So I just, again, wanted to thank everyone for tuning in for the past year. I have a little something that is just a little something, so I have to be careful. I wanted to throw some confetti for 1 year of live story times with all of you. I really feel that this year has been challenging and it has been sad. It has been hard. We've done hard things this year. And I think that we turned a real lemon of a situation into some delicious lemonade with these story times. And it has been an honor to read with you every week. I am going to continue on. And I just really wanted to thank you all. It has been an honor and a privilege to read with you every week and to share stories with you for the past year. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in for, I'm getting a little misty, for tuning in for my 1 year anniversary story time. I will be back next Wednesday with some more strong female characters, strong girl characters, stories for you next week. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be well, stay safe, have fun, get outside if it's nice and warm out, and I'll see you all next week. Bye, everyone.